When sun rays crown thy pine-clad hills and summer spreads her hand.
Do you want me to move this table back?
No, that's all right. That's fine. All right, so we have this custom in Newfoundland and Labrador. You might have heard about it already, called screeching in.
Yeah.
And you know what screech is by now, do you?
Yeah.
No. All right. Well, when we in the early days of the salt cod fishery, you know, dry salted cod was culled, and the number one and number two, the really good quality stuff, would go to Western Europe, and the cullage would go down to the West Indies. And actually the cull is called West Indy. So when our schooners came back, there was no sense coming back empty. For one thing, they needed ballast because they were sailing ships. So they brought back goods of the Caribbean, usually sugar and molasses, right? You saw the molasses puncheons, and tobacco and rum. And the rum was Jamaica rum. And it became known as Newfoundland Screech. Got nothing whatsoever to do with this province, except it was brought back here as ballast. So we became known for Screech. And then they called this ceremony Screeching because, you know, this is an exercise in bravery.
Ed the Bold.
What?
Ed the Bold.
Ed the Bold. Ed the Bold. Right. So, and the other thing that they talk about in this ceremony is to kiss a cod, and that originates from a tradition of when the schooners would go off to the fishery. Like when they would go off to the sealing industry, there was a blessing of the feet of the fleet. And when they go off looking for cod, of course, there was kind of the ceremonial kissing of the cod. Now, I take this position. I don't care where you're from, but if I'm going to have to kiss a friggin' codfish to become a honorary citizen, it's not going to happen. So, you good with that? I agree on that. All right, yeah. So, but we have some other things that we'll do to make you a bona fide Newfoundlander and Labradorian. So we should get at it, shouldn't we?
I think so.
Yeah. So anyway, there are a number of, I'm not a certified screecher. So you won't be able to take this before a justice of the peace and produce it and say I'm a citizen of Newfoundland and Labrador, but close to it. So I got 4 pillars of citizenship, and one is truth, one is nerve, one is intelligence, and the other is rhythm.
Yeah.
All right.
A little rib.
Yeah, okay. Well, this is easy to fail, but it's also easy not to fail. So I should start off by introducing you to a new way to tell the truth.
Okay.
And of course, a lot of people could stand that right about now. A new way to tell the truth. So I'm going to do this. All you got to do to pass this part of the citizenship requirement is to listen. So I'm going to give you a recitation now. If you go to times or parties in rural Newfoundland, you'd always get a recitation. It would be mostly music, but so many stories have been written in this province that recitations were part of the show. So this recitation is called The Smoke Room on the Kyle. And when you were in Battle Harbor, over in the salt store, there's a picture of the Kyle. This is a vessel. She's in Harbor Grace now. Reason why I'm telling you this is that, you know, I just want to prove that what I'm about to tell you is the gospel truth, because the Kyle is all up in Harbor Grace. And we have an expression too for something that's brand new. All of those little villages along the coast of Newfoundland and Labrador didn't have roads. So vessels would be going from village to village, dropping off the newest in goods. And so something that was brand new, something that is brand new in this province, is said to be right out of the Kyle. That means it's, yeah, right out of the cow means it's brand new. So here's the recitation now, and this will teach you how to properly tell the truth. Tall are the tales that fishermen tell when the summer's work is done, of fish they've caught and birds they've shot, and crazy risks they've run. But it was never a tale that was ever told so tall by half a mile, as Grandpa Wilcott told one night in the smoke room on the Kyle. With baccy smoke from 20 pipes, the atmosphere was blue with, "Have another one, me boys, and don't mind if I do." Till somebody suggested that each in turn should spin a yarn about some circumstance he'd personally been in. Then tales were told about gun barrels bent to shoot around a cliff, of men thawed out and brought to life who had been frozen stiff, of bark pots carried off by flies, and pathways chopped through fog, and woodsman Bill who barefoot kicked the knots off a 12-inch log. Now the loud applause grew louder still when Uncle Billy Shay told about the big potato he grew down in Gander Bay. Too big to fit through the cellar door, it lay at rest nearby, until one rainy night that fall, the pig drowned in its eye. Now, meanwhile, in the corner, his gray head slightly bowed, sat Grandpa Wilcott, 88, the oldest of the crowd. Upon his weather-beaten face there rose a quiet grin when someone bawled out, "Grandpa, now it's your turn to chip in." "Oh, no, boys, leave me out," said Grandpa, "and I won't mind if you do." But then he thought about it and said, "Well, all right, boys, if you insist. I'll tell you one that's true. It's a story all about jigging squids I'm going to relate, and it happened in Pigeon Inlet back in 1928. Me, I was just a Bellomer then out fishing with me dad, and the prospects for the season were looking pretty bad. The Capeland skull had come and gone, and that hadn't been too bright, and here was August almost gone, and not one squid in sight. Day after day we searched for squids till dark from the crack of dawn. We dug up clams and cocks and hens till even these were gone. And still no squids, so in despair we give it up for good, took up our gear and went ashore cutting firewood. Now me and Father were out in the woods with all the other men and wondering if we'd ever see another squid again. Father broke his axe that day, so we were the first ones out. And as we neared the lamb wash, we heard the women shout, "Come, hurry, boys, the squids are in." Well, we jumped aboard our boat and took off out to Tickle, the only crew afloat. But suddenly the keel started scrunching, like scraping over skids. "Father," says I, "we've run aground." "My son," he said, "that's squids." "The jigger," said Father, "heave it out." Quick as a wink I did, and no sooner did it hit the water when it was grappled by a squid. I started pulling aboard the boat, and as soon as he crossed the rail, well, I'll be darned if there wasn't a second squid stuck hold to the first one's tail. And onto that one another one, and so on in a string. I tried to shake him loose, but Father said, "You foolish thing, you got something was never seen before in Newfoundland. Drop the jigger, catch hold of the string and haul, hand over hand." Well, I hauled them squids aboard until our boat could hold no more, and then I tied it up in the risings and headed for the shore. Now, the rest of the men were coming out of the woods, and they heard the women bawl, but Father said, "No worries, boys, we've squids enough for all." Well, we passed it off to Skipper Jim until he had enough, and then neighbor like he passed it off to Skipper Levi Cuff. And so it went from stage to stage until the crack of dawn found it over on Eastern Point when Uncle Billy Strong. Now Uncle Billy, thoughtful like, before he went to bed, took 2.5 inches of them squids around a grump on his stage head. Next morning, Hartley's Harbour heard the news, and up they come in a trap skiff with 3 pairs of oars and towed the squids down home. And when Hartley's Harbour had enough the following afternoon, they handed it off to another bunch that had come up from Carpoon. Now what happened to it after that, I don't exactly know, but some folks say that it crossed the straits and wound up in Fort O. Yes, tall are the tales that fishermen tell when summer's work is done, of fish they've caught and birds they've shot and crazy risks they've run, but it was never a tale.
Well, at this point, my GoPro battery died. So, those batteries got a few years on them. I used them quite a bit. So no more vid for the rest of that. So sorry, folks. That's the way it goes there. It was a long process for me to get indoctrinated, and there was dancing. I may have a little clip of the dancing that somebody else gave me, but I had to drink rum, answer a lot of questions, go back and forth, listen to some stories and whatnot. But I did my best, and I'm an official Screecher now here. All right. Official Newfoundlander. Yes, indeed. All right. Let's press on here. Okay. I like this backboard. I made that. Okay. Bye.
Since I held you and called you mine, and we waited for the sun to shine on a great foggy day.
Okay. Let's see what we got here. We got our Screechers plaque prominently displayed on the wall. I made a little thing for it, kind of laminated it on there myself. But there it is, the Screechers, proudly displayed in my lair. All right.
When silvern voices tune thy rills, we love thee smile.